All right, let's talk about what makes a villain truly unforgettable. We're not talking about someone who's just evil for evil's sake. Today, we're going to deconstruct a character brief for a villain called the Sovereign Architect. And what you're about to see is how the most terrifying antagonists aren't built from simple malice. They're built from an idea, a cohesive, chilling, philosophical argument. So yeah, let's dive in.
Wow. Okay, so right off the bat, this quote tells you pretty much everything. This is not your average power-hungry bad guy, right? This is a statement of principle. It's so cold, so intellectual. So the big question is, what kind of mind actually thinks like this? What philosophy could possibly lead someone to such conviction?
Well, the answer starts right here, with the absolute core of the architect's worldview. And it is so important to get this. For this character, their philosophy isn't just some tragic backstory. No, it is their actual operating system. It's the code that runs every single thought, every word, and every action.
Okay, Fichtean subjective idealism sounds like a mouthful, I know, but the core idea behind it is actually pretty simple, and it's chilling. It all boils down to a profound sense of cosmic loneliness. The architect genuinely believes they are the only real thing in the entire universe. Everything else, you, me, the laws of physics, is just a figment, a projection from their own mind. This breaks it down perfectly. The architect's entire reality is split into these two boxes. You've got the absolute I, that's them, the one and only true consciousness, and then you have the not I, which is literally everything else, the whole shebang, a fiction that needs to be unwritten. This goes way beyond arrogance. It's the source of their God complex. I mean, why would you ever follow the rules of a world you're convinced is fake?
So being cosmically lonely is one thing, but how does that become a threat to everyone else? Well, let's look at the second pillar of their philosophy, because this is how that belief gets weaponized. This is where abstract thought turns into a driving, destructive purpose.
For the architect, nihilism isn't about despair, it's an active force. They look at our world, our morality, our concepts of good and evil, and they just see arbitrary rules holding back true potential. So for them, destroying our reality isn't an act of hatred. It's an act of exhilarating, terrifying, artistic freedom. It's about clearing the canvas.
And that's the deadly cocktail right there. You combine the belief that I am the only real thing with the drive to destroy all old values to create new ones, and what do you get? You get a self-appointed God, an overman whose will is the only law that matters. This is exactly how their philosophy becomes power.
Now we get to the really fascinating part. The architect's armory isn't just a collection of cool-looking weapons, it's their philosophy made tangible. Every single piece of gear is a physical manifestation of their core beliefs. It's an armory made of arguments.
Let's start with their main weapon, the Fichtean dagger. This thing isn't forged from steel or any physical material you can think of. It's forged from pure, focused thought. It's an idea so sharp it can literally cut reality itself. Now, what makes this weapon so terrifying is that it doesn't kill you, it unmakes you. Think about that. It doesn't cut your skin, it severs your very sense of self. It attacks your identity until you can't tell where you end and the world begins. You literally dissolve back into the not I. It's the ultimate philosophical delete button.
Next up, we have an instrument that doesn't attack the body or even the mind, but the spirit. This is the architect's tool for announcing the end of our world's morality. It's a herald's instrument.
This staff is pure psychological horror. It traps its victims in a concept called the eternal recurrence, forcing them to relive their worst moments, their greatest failures, their deepest shames, over and over and over again. It's an infinite loop of suffering designed to shatter their will to live. It doesn't beat them with force, but with the unbearable weight of their own life.
And finally, we have the source of the architect's command over the very fabric of reality itself. It's a garment supposedly woven from living shadow and pure, raw potential.
So this mantle has two absolutely wild powers. First, it weaponizes your own inner darkness against you, turning your repressed anger and resentment into a literal, physical monster. But second, and this is the key, it lets the architect unmake reality itself. They can break down physics into a primordial, chaotic state that only their will can reshape. It's the ultimate act of a creator clearing a flawed canvas.
Okay, so we've seen the weapons, and each one is a piece of their argument. But how does this all come together in an actual fight?
Let's look at how this philosophy translates directly into devastating signature moves.
I love this table because it just perfectly shows the pipeline from concept to combat. Take Positing the Void, a Fichtean idea that lets the architect literally erase you just by deciding you're no longer part of their perception. Gone. Then there's the Tarantula Sting, a Nietzschean move that poisons a group with resentment, turning allies against each other. And my personal favorite, Amor Fati Ora, where they absorb damage and get stronger, literally loving the struggle. Every single move is a philosophical statement.
So all of this comes together to create the character's voice and their personality. And, it's not just what they do, but how they present themselves that makes them so uniquely terrifying.
And this is the final chilling piece of the puzzle. The architect isn't screaming or raging. Their tone is calm, patient, almost disappointed, like a teacher correcting a simple mistake. They don't see you as an enemy to be hated. They see you as a conceptual error that needs to be erased. And that absolute, unwavering certainty is far more frightening than any monster.
This single quote just perfectly encapsulates their entire worldview. Our reality, our moral code, it's all just a flawed painting to them. They don't believe they're bringing darkness, they believe they're bringing a blank canvas, ready for a true masterpiece, themselves, to be created.
And that really leaves us with this final thought. The Sovereign Architect shows us that the most compelling villains aren't just powerful, they are armed with a coherent, terrifying ideology. So you have to wonder, what happens when you're not fighting a person, but you're fighting an argument? What happens when a villain's greatest weapon is an idea?